But a lot of the discussion seems to be centered around it as if we were there, as if it's inappropriate for opposition to come based upon personal vendetta, et cetera. Anyway, I was just curious if there are any standards out there that we're expected to follow for this.
Yeah, Michael, I'm not aware of any. I think the only probably two requirements that there are is that the individual either reside in the city or reside in the urban growth boundary that's put forth in the code, and that the other is that they express interest in the position. Other than that, I don't know of any specific yay or nay questions that would be out there that you could put any sort of a test of, can you vote yes or no or anything else. And I think just like most of the other votes that you have as a council member, I don't think that there is ever a time when you're required to state why you vote a certain direction.
Legislative action that would be up to each individual council member to
up or down.
give their own opinions on that.
So what you're saying is we could really just take a vote, yea or nay, and not even give a reason for voting no?
I believe so, just as you do on anything else. Are there reasons that would cause you to, I can't remember exactly what you had in your second question, I would say individually, council members just need to look into their own conscience and their own selves on how they should vote, and that can be on any issue. Certainly there are folks that come from different walks of life that believe, you know what, I'm gonna vote the way I believe it should be, or I'm gonna vote the way my constituents want me to vote, or I'm gonna vote some other thing in there, and none of them are wrong, none of them are right. It's clear across the board. So this is just another one of those positions in there. When the recommendation was forwarded on to me, I didn't have any problem bringing it to the council for confirmation. I did sit in on both of the interviews, and it was clear that that one candidate was probably more prepared to fill the seat than the other one, and not saying anything negatively about the other candidate. I believe that she is looking for somewhere to do some good community service for the community over and above what she has done for years with the volunteer fire department. If I remember correctly, she was pretty forthright up front that she didn't necessarily understand completely what the planning commissioner's roles were and that type of stuff as well, but certainly willing to learn. So again, I think there was a definite difference between the two individuals. I know, I kind of get drawn into some of this, that Mike has made some disparaging remarks about myself and that type of thing, and I'm a big boy. Things happen. Things happen during election cycles. Things happen during campaigns. There are loyalties. There are lots of things said either way, and I certainly understand that. It's not to say that Mike and I are probably on best buddies or whatever anything is here and there, but I don't hold things necessarily against folks that they voice as their opinions and what they believe to be true at any given point. So from my standpoint, I don't hold anything against Mike for what transpired in the last year and a half in there, and we go on from there.
And I don't think that the issue is him voicing his opinion on issues. Or even if he said, Councilman Russell is wrong and here's why I think this position's better. But the fact that he would come and take us on personally and individually and make untrue statements about us, even if he prefaced it with his opinion, it's still kind of like the old saying, how long have you been beating your wife? Well, I don't, but now that you've said it, everyone thinks that I have. It's along those same lines. So, I think there is a line in which you can cross and say, yeah, you have freedom of speech, but you're also going to be held accountable for those statements as well. So I think that's important. We can't I don't think we just let it escape and say, well, that's just the way it was then and or the way it is now. I think that the important thing is that those of us who do have grievances. I don't think that he is the best candidate for this position. Have the ability to vote no, and once it's done, it's done. We move on.
Sure, trying to take all this in. It is an interesting situation to be put in, to have to give confirmation from Mr. Briggs, because it's not just past election, but he has actually come to the podium at council many times and just lit into us and, you know, basically cut us down and lost his temper several times. So that's not just, you know, back when people were running for office. That's more recent. And now he's coming to us and wanting our confirmation. So it is a bit of a challenge from that standpoint. But I realize that, you know, he's now trying to put his money where his mouth is and step up and volunteer for the city. Now, this position for Planning Commission is a big commitment. It's 6 years, is that correct? And this Craig Kinsella was the person that stepped down, and he would be taking his place. And that term expires May 5th of 2015, is that correct? Okay. I really just have one question. It's actually for Mr. Briggs, if he'd be willing to answer me.
Yeah.
Great, okay, well, according to this, this little memo, you said you'd be willing to answer questions, so. It has to do with your term and your commitment to that term. Are you committed to that term?
Absolutely, I wouldn't agree if I wasn't.
Great, and you understand, I'm sorry I have to ask this question, I wasn't involved in the interview process. But are you fully aware of all the information that you'll have to basically dive into once you start, and the fact that a lot of these planning commission members have been on for quite a while, and you know, it'll be a learning process as far as municipal code and you know, that sort of thing?
That's a good question. My time with the Internal Revenue Service and the Veterans Administration of the United States, we had to learn a lot of regulations, very intense, detailed regulations. And I think I mastered those to the best of my abilities at that time. I think I could take that same intellect, although it's somewhat weathered, as me and Mr. Shoemaker would agree, we're older. But I think I can still manage to get through some of that process, and I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, that's really the only concerns that I had. You have the floor.
Any other items from council? Dave?
I will tell you, there's a difference between disagreeing on issues and ad hominem attacks, by name attacks. And that's what I see here. Tackle me on the issues, and if you can convince me, I'll go with you. If you can't convince me, I'll tell you why I disagree with you, and I'll explain my vote. I think it's very important for us to explain our votes. How did we arrive at this? But how do you respond to personal attacks? You can't.
That's usually why I cut them off.
Well, you go. Thank you.
Any other items from council? Okay, I let Mike and Jan know that I would certainly give them the opportunity during this discussion to make comments